Bryson Jackson spent a lot of his lifetime at Baylor, almost a third of it, I think, and he joins us now, the former linebacker and hybrid safety on 365 Sports with Craig and Paul, and I'm David Smoak. Bryson, I know the season has been over for a couple of different weeks. What right now is in your future as far as football, or what is next for you in life?
Yeah, so right now, man, it's just, focusing on training, finishing the semester off strong, and just heading to training, bro. So just getting connected with guys that can put me forward and transform my athletic and my physical attributes and get ready for pro day. So it's been a heck of a ride here, but now I get to train and try to go for the pros.
Bryson, 7 years at a place is a long time anywhere, especially at this point in your life. But you've been able to kind of see things through a couple of different lenses as you've gotten older and done this. You've been through 2 different eras of Baylor football, essentially. What do you see as the state of the program right now as Dave Aranda coming back for another year, making some changes on the coaching staff? Where are they after you guys had a really rough 3-9 year?
Yeah, so I've been a part of a couple teams where we've we had losing seasons, and then right after that we've had a successful season. So I think right now off of what happened this past year was that we had a young team, a lot of young guys playing on that young team, and they were getting their first start. Going out there nervous, having the jitters, learning how to communicate with the guys on the field. But they were highly talented and very smart football players. So I think with Coach Aranda coming back and those young guys taking from the experience, having that fire up underneath them, that I don't want to go experience what I just experienced last year. It's going to be something special. So the state of the program is in good hands right now. I got faith in it, and I know that talking with some of the guys that everybody up there's fired up. You got players, the young DBs, the young linebackers, the young D linemen. And they're ready. And those guys, right now, you would usually see dudes, taking the time off after having a losing season and just kind of focusing on school and not really working out and training. But you go up there right now to the weight room, the whole team's up there working out in the same uniform, and they all got smiles on their face. So I know they're fired up and headed to and have a vision on where they want to go as a team.
Bryson, a lot of guys, nearly the entire team that's eligible to come back, I think, has declared that they're coming back. The exception being, I think, Blake Shapen's still out there, Drake Dabney. But, for the most part, everybody is going to be back from last year's roster that's eligible. How much did you guys hear outside noise and talk about Dave Aranda and coaching changes and things like that? And what was your and everybody else's reaction, I guess, that you've heard from when you found out that Dave Aranda is going to be back? What was the thought process there?
As a team, he always talked to us about distractions and eliminating those distractions. But I think with the guys on the team, we all knew where his heart was at from the start of the season, and he's comfortable here, and he wants to be here. I think Coach Aranda is a transformational leader, and I think that here he wants to do great things, and he wants to see the guys that he has brought here and coached here. He wants to see those guys succeed. So. It wasn't too much of, question whether or not he was going to leave or not, or if, this was going to be a place where we're going to have to go through another coaching change. But as far as just the distractions during the season, man, it was tons of it, tons of noise, tons of people talking about, we're not good enough. Coach Aranda's, his process, his coaching style isn't good enough for this level of football. And it was just all distractions. And we were going through a transformational process throughout this whole season, and it didn't go the way we wanted to. But good things happen whenever you fall in a pit, and the only place you can go from the pit is up. So I think it's in the overall, Coach Aranda and the players that stayed here, they were able to trust the words that he was probably saying to them in the meetings after the season like that. His goal for the next season, they trust and believe in him and his will to coach those guys.
When the team went 12-2, best year ever, his demeanor, his personality, the way he spoke, he was a genius. He's a Jedi. He was the master. And then things turned south at the end of last year, and also this year when he spoke, a lot of people said, I don't want to hear him. It seemed like that despite the last year and a half, that nobody ever quit on the team or quit on each other or quit on Dave Aranda. Was that something as one of the senior leaders, seventh-year guy, that was just brought up much during any kind of team meetings or in the locker room?
Well, yeah. So, one, I want to just like kind of address that. But, you see the guys that have been here before, and those guys, their process, the way they were intentional about, learning football, that was under Coach Aranda, and he poured into those guys. He poured into the program. So you got to see those guys that were older, those veterans, lead the program and do it at a high level, at a professional level. And, last year we had the veterans, but a lot of our guys that were veterans were those guys, when we did in 2021 when we were the guys that were, role players on the team. And so you had your veterans, then you had the guys that were coming up. But the young guys had to learn and had to see, kind of what it took to get to that point to be a successful team. And you want to have more guys that came from experience on the team, like veterans that have been playing 3 to 4 years, starting 3 to 4 years. And, you want to be able to have that so those guys can see what the standard is for them to continue going. But as far as like me being a leader and me being a seventh year, there was tons of young guys trying to figure out what it took to be successful. And they saw through how I, prepared during the week, how I approached practice during the week. And, that conversation was always up, like, what can I do to get better? Like, what is the problem while we're losing games? Like, how can we get better as a team? And, it's just a process. And that process sometimes is long and strenuous. But those guys, man, like, they see the work that, guys like Jalen Petrie, Terrell Bernard, Ben Sims, who's currently there. They see these guys that are in the league right now that follow Dave Aranda's plan and follow their process to get there. And Coach Aranda's brilliant, bro. He's a Jedi. No matter what, he's a master, bro. Like, literally, there's no as a guy that's on the field every day. There's no stopping in coaching. There's no change in demeanor. If you look at how he coached individual drills at LSU on YouTube, there's like videos on it. You see the intentional, focus. You see the voice that he has. He changes his mindset once he's on the field. And I just see him implementing that times 10 in this upcoming year, just into the linebacker group, into the safeties group. But he's a coach that's always learning and growing. And I see this team as a team that's always learning and growing. The players are always learning and growing. And there's no one that I can say up there at that facility and that program as players that don't believe in his process or to believe in what he has going forward in the future with this team. There's some guys that might, take things into their own hand for their own future, and that's what they have to do. But as far as the trust in the program and what Dave Aranda's plan is going forward, I can tell you up there, those guys that are choosing to stay, they believe in it. And there's a fire lit up under them. Yeah,
Ben Sims scored a touchdown this week, as a matter of fact. But Bryson, it is, and I'm sure Baylor fans are going to enjoy hearing you say that, but for a team that went through some struggles, not just this year, but towards the end of last season, to not have a culture issue is really rare. I mean, usually you can point to, there's a lot of finger pointing and all that. Does that just speak to Dave Aranda's ability to reach players on the personal level to prevent that from happening?
Yeah. With that, it's real tricky to really kind of, touch on that, because sometimes, as players and as a team, you want to just believe and trust the guys that are within the program and who are going through it every day. But what I can tell you from all my experience here is that there is a process. In order to be a successful team, you have to know how to win, and you got to know what losing feels like. And with the team last year, man, we had freshmen, leading in our defensive back secondary group, leading in interceptions, leading in pass breakups. These guys are very good, but at the same time, there's a certain level of, if you watch how Jalen Petrie or Terrell Bernard, if you really watch them go out there on special teams on kickoff and then go out there for a 10-play drive. And you watch them have gap integrity and being able to play two to three gaps at once. Like it looks like magic, but it's really the training within the week. And it took them having, situations in the previous years when they were freshmen and sophomores to learn from those experiences. So to the fans, I would just say, trust, like look at the guys that have played this year. Look at guys like Caden Jenkins. Look at guys like Carl Williams. Look at guys like Brendan Bett. I can name all the guys on the team, but you look at those young freshmen, and you look at how, they might have made a mistake here in the game, but their drive is there. And there's no better coaching in place than they have on the defensive side than Coach Aranda. I mean, he's just critical, like in all phases and all. It's pretty much probably why Matt Jones stayed and decided to come back, and Garmin Randolph decided to come back. It's just you're going to be a better player, when you have better coaching and great coaching. So it's one of those things where you just got to have faith in the program. But I do believe in what I've experienced there with the coaching, that the intensity is there, bro. The focus is there. And, they're not getting no sleep at night. Like they're up there all day, in the mornings, at the workouts, coaching their tails off and their butts off. So it's going to be a great off season, and it's going to be a good spring to see what this program is headed to. So.
Yeah, it's hard to have people be patient, right, Bryson? Everybody's got to be a little patient to see that reward at the end, and that's hard to ask for folks sometimes. But another thing I'd love your opinion on here is just kind of the juice and the swagger of the team. When you're winning, it's easy for that to come across, but you're bouncing around, you're full of energy, you're winning. When you're losing, it's a lot harder to kind of maintain that. And I think because of Dave Aranda's personality, he's so quiet that people mistake that and think that maybe the team's that way. Was that your experience? I mean, were you guys still as fired up as previous teams that you were on, or is that something that maybe needs to be worked on as well? Is that something that maybe just appeared that way because of the results and wasn't really the reality of what was going on in that locker room?
It almost seemed like backwards, in my opinion. But for us, it was like we had the energy at practice. We had the energy in the hotel before the game. We had the energy in all these phases before stepping on the stage where we need the energy the most. And, Coach Aranda is a serious guy, and how he handles meetings every day throughout the week is there's a certain look on his face. There's a certain way that he describes things that is intentional, well thought out. So if you're a young player and you're learning from this Jedi, like you're learning all this stuff that he's telling you, which is, I have notebooks on notebooks of just from Coach Aranda, and I can just read you all the good stuff. But, it's hard because that's him. That's his personality. So he wants us to play at our most authentic selves. And as a young player, sometimes it's hard to say, I want to make sure I'm doing everything right. Because with our coaches here, they strain to do things right. They strain to have success during practice on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday. So getting to a game, you have to learn how to flip that switch and let it loose. And when we got to the games this year, we didn't flip that switch. And there were times where we might have flipped it too late, or we might have flipped it early, and then we didn't finish at the end. Mm-hmm. But you have that's something that you have to train in fall camp. You got to train in spring ball. Like that switch has to stay on, from the start of practice to the end of practice, from the start of a game to the end of a game. And the juice is there. Like it was there. But in some areas it was better during the week than it's ever been since I've been here. But just at the games, man, like it just didn't travel with us.
Bryson, is there a chance that there were a bad mixture, not a bad mixture of people, but a high level of upperclassmen, a lot of young players, but not enough, as you mentioned, meet in the middle as far as experience?
Yeah. So think of a guy like me. So I made a transition to play star, and that was a position I didn't play for the past since I got here, my freshman, sophomore year. And I was making that transition into playing cover 3 match and being out there to play man coverage. So there was areas of improvement that I had to focus on during the week. And that was the same for some of the seniors that were there last year. But there just wasn't enough of us that had that core experience at that one position. And there were very few guys in that sense that could, maybe hold a freshman's hand. You only saw really one guy in that group kind of lead that group, and we needed more. We needed probably two or more guys within each position group to kind of lead that young group who had all that fire and just all that all the skills that they had to bring to the game. So like you said, there wasn't enough of the seniors, but at the same time, it's not an excuse. Like seniors got to do better, but that's a lesson learned for the guys that are coming up this next year.
Go ahead, Paul.
Bryson, you've been here for 7 years, so you're 24, 25 years old now. How much of a difference do you see, like when you see those freshmen, like your life experience is far different, and this will happen to you as you get older. Like you don't feel like you're that much older than people, but then you see it and you hear it and you're like, oh man, like this is a different group.
Yeah, bro, I felt that every day going up there. In the locker room, those are my guys. So, I don't look at nobody and say, you're younger than me. I'm going to treat you like I'm this old head. But I had a relationship with every guy on that team. And it was pretty exciting. But at the same time, definitely the age, that the thing that separated most was just the maturity and the mindset. With me, it took a lot of work to get to where my lifestyle outside of football was put together so that I can go up there and be the best version of myself. So as a freshman, I could say that a lot of guys struggle with is have that life outside of practice, outside of weights, outside of class, how you handle that maybe 6 to 8 hours when you're alone. So, I took that serious. And, it's just kind of hard to make sure that you want to get those young guys to get on the same page because they have to want to do it. And I wouldn't say that was the case last year, but it was inconsistent as far as what you would see. And this is an example. Like if you were here in 2021, I would drive by the facility or I would go get food and I'll finish watching film and you'll see Terrell Bernard's car there till 11 p.m. at night. You'll see Gary Bohannon or you'll see Blake Shapen's car there till 12 a.m. at night. Like these guys that played here previous, you saw the amount of time and effort they put into the off the field stuff. So, that's something I see will be something focused on this next upcoming year.
Bryson, when you guys went 12, thanks for your time. We have just maybe another minute or two with you. We appreciate your time. Bryson Jackson, Baylor linebacker, hybrid safety, as he mentioned, as he switched this year. When the team went 12-2, there was a lot of discussion that Aranda allowed some players that otherwise were who they were to maybe even get better. And then when things started going south, it was, he won with Matt Rule's players. How unfair are either one of those critiques?
I think it's really unfair. Those guys and those coaches were great. But at the same time, those players, when Coach Aranda got here, I'm part of that group that he recruited, that I recruited. There was a whole culture change. And we had to make that decision to be a part of that culture. So I completely respect both sides. And I can tell you right now, from the guys that have been here, they respect both sides. But it is unfair. And those guys did come here. They put the work in. But at the same time, they took advantage of the opportunity they had to play under a guy like Coach Aranda, who was a defensive Jedi. So they took it serious. They went up there. They spent time with him in the film room, outside of the hours that we had to be up there. There was players who were always learning from him every single day. There wasn't a day that went by, especially that year, which is probably why we went and won that year, is because just the focus that we had throughout the week. And those guys took it serious. So, with development, I just think, man, coaches play a big role into it. And, if you get in a good program and a good system, that system can put you in a great position. I just think the system was great, and it has always been great. And those guys that have been here, including myself, we appreciate what Coach Aranda has done. And it's been an honor and a great opportunity to play up underneath them.
Last thing, if you had another year left, and I know you probably sometimes didn't even know if you did, but if you had another year left, would you want to go play for Dave again this next year?
If I had 8th year, I think my body's just tired, man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, I can see, yeah. But as far as if you could go play, would you want to play? Just making sure I got this straight. You love the guy. You think that there's just some things that happen. Would you have any problem whatsoever if you could play for him for another year? You would.
No doubt. That's the first guy I'm going to.
Thank you, Bryson. Good luck. Hey, stay in touch with us, okay? And keep us up to date with all the workouts and contacts and whatever's in your future. We appreciate your time.
Thank you guys so much.
Bryson Jackson, former Baylor linebacker, safety, with more of just